Hello, everyone. Dom Tiberi here. It is time for the greatest rivalry in all of sports, Ohio State versus Michigan. We're going to break it down with our guys. Of course, we have Dave Holmes and Adam King from 10 TV, along with former Ohio State receiver, the one and only DeVere Posey. You hear him on 97.1 The Fan. And Tim May from 97.1 The Fan, Letterman Road. Dave, with all that's going on, and it's documented, it's been crazy. There's no love lost between these two clubs, but especially now with all that's going on, investigation, Harbaugh is suspended. Is that a distraction for the Michigan football team?
100%. The question is it a good distraction or a bad distraction? Because whether you agree or not, common sense folks would not, Michigan thinks they're a victim. They think they've been unfairly targeted, they've been singled out, they think Ohio State's behind a lot of it, and they think that they are the victims. Now, I don't personally feel it that way. I think most people don't, but the folks up there do. And if they could somehow channel it, Michael Jordan was the king of creating drama in his own head that did or did not exist. So maybe they can make this a Michigan versus everybody scenario. It might actually help them.
All right, Tim, and everyone can jump in on this, but Tim, how do you see what's going on up there? We've been doing this a long time. I find it hard to believe that a guy like Bo Schembechler would be very happy with what is going on. Yeah. And now these guys up there are painting themselves as victims. How is that even possible?
Well, you know, you've seen those old cowboy movies, comedies where the guy shoots himself in the foot and then claims he got wounded, you know. And he's a Purple Heart. That's what's going on right now. I mean, they're just trying to wiggle their way out of this whole situation in one form or fashion, throwing mud at everybody else but themselves. That's very unfortunate that it has come down that way. But no, I think the only people that see themselves as victims in this have an M on their chest.
Well, it's Ryan Day's brother did all this.
Exactly. Yeah, Ryan Day's brother did all this. And then on top of that, it's hard to remember, but I remember Harbaugh has already served a 3-game suspension this year. Yeah. You're talking about taking guys overseas. You're talking about Maisie Smith last year, Harbaugh sweeping that under the rug as far as his arrest and things like that. Michigan has a rap sheet that's very long, and this is just an exclamation mark on it.
This is the tip of the iceberg.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Tim. This is what I find so funny. Every statement from Michigan says Michigan will continue to cooperate with the investigation.
Yeah.
Wasn't Jim Harbaugh literally suspended this year?
Yes,
for not cooperating.
Exactly.
So I think it's comical that they say, we're going to cooperate. Your coach has already been suspended for not cooperating.
And not only that, but they've gotten rid of, for example, Connor Stalions is no longer on the staff. He's no longer compelled, for example, to talk to the NCAA, and their linebacker coach are not compelled to talk to the NCAA because they're gone.
Yeah.
What I think is amazing, and this is my only take on this whole thing, they created the mess themselves.
Other than Ryan Day's brother.
Connor Stalions was at Central Michigan, we assume.
Yeah, he got on the list.
To me, that blows my mind. That
Go back and watch that game. It's hilarious, actually.
But the fact that they still don't know who this man is. And
well, they know who it is. They just don't want to say who it is.
And for them, for Jim to get up there, and Tim, we've been covering Jim a long time. He was the guy that guaranteed victory.
He's from me to Adam when he did that, way back in '86.
I mean, he's always been out there.
Yeah.
But for him to get up there and say, we're America's team, and to say, I can't wait, I'm going to go into court, and I've got a lot to say and all that. And then when their chance comes, it's like.
He found out they weren't going in front of Judge Judy is what he found out.
Yeah.
Well, and then just being the Michigan man thing, right? Everybody up there believes they have the moral compass of the whole Big Ten. And then when you talk to former players, I like to, I talk stuff and text messages to guys I know that played at Michigan. They're in total denial.
Well, let me ask you this.
Like, this didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
Oh, you guys switched your signs last year. No, this is an elaborate.
Yeah.
Just everything. You have PowerPoints. They're hacking into iClouds. Dom, this is
Well, let me ask you this. You played in this rivalry. You did well against these guys. Is there, though, a general dislike? Forget about the respect and all that. I'm just saying, is there a general dislike between Ryan Day and Jim Harbaugh? Do you see that?
Absolutely. I mean, you saw Harbaugh's interview earlier this week. He said, hey, what's your respect like for Ryan Day? He goes on an array of things just talking about, hey, we're focused on what we do. Didn't even answer the question. I believe Ryan Day doesn't like how Jim Harbaugh positions himself. He's never really had an opportunity, really, I think, to beat him fair and square. I think this year is a chance for Ryan Day to really give it to Jim Harbaugh and kind of show everything over these last 2 years was, downright cheap.
And Ryan Day's answer was almost identical to Jim Harbaugh's.
Both coaches were asked if they respect the other coach. Both coach Went all the way around the question.
Never actually answered.
Answer the question.
How do you spell respect?
Yeah. Aretha can, they can.
Yes.
Adam, is this motivation what's going on for Ohio State? And I say it is. I know what it's done to Buckeye Nation's blood. My question is this. Do the Buckeyes need to be careful and not get too emotional too soon?
100%. And I've said this. Listen, this game shapes up to be arguably the most important in the rivalry's history, and that includes 2006.
Yep.
But the thing you have to do in this moment is remember that it's a football game. And we heard Kyle McCord say that. It's just a game. And if you go out there and treat this like it is all or nothing, Tim, you were trying to tell Ryan Day everything that's on the line. He didn't want to hear it at the press conference because they know what's out there, and they know this sign-stealing scandal. I will say this. It adds a lot of motivation when you think about the last 2 years. But with this year, I, for one, think it helps Ohio State.
Yeah.
Because Michigan was stealing signs for the beginning of this season.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. America's team was allegedly stealing signs.
Allegedly.
And then they had to stop stealing signs. And now they have to learn to play football again without knowing if it's a run or a pass. And that's not easy.
Here's what I will say about all this, Tim. The rivalry had become a little bit stagnant because Jim Tressel owned them, Urban Meyer owned them. And we could talk about Michigan's record, what it was back before Tim and I were born, and yes, they dominated back then. Yes, they had a good run in the late 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
But with that said, in modern history, which is what matters, Michigan became irrelevant. So no one rooted for them harder to become relevant than I did because the conference needs them.
You're a Michigan man. You've always been on record of that.
I heard you said that Harbaugh was a great coach.
You can't spell Dom without the M.
But let me just say this. This off the field stuff has gone on for years, Tim.
Yeah.
Of course.
All kinds of, and it makes the rivalry. But these guys are not victims.
No.
Don't ask who created the monster when your last name's Frankenstein.
I agree with a
Well, in all
lot of
fairness,
what you
Frankenstein
said.
didn't create the monster.
No.
I agree with a lot of what you said, but the bottom line is this rivalry did need some juice. I mean, after the first 2 decades of the 21st century, it was big-time Ohio State. And I think those runs basically enhance the rivalry, just like, our friend and everybody else, John Cooper, 210-1 against Michigan. Yeah. That made them disregard how big this thing was. Now Michigan was back. The Big Ten is definitely better with Michigan back, being on the level that it is.
I will say this, though. We've had this discussion in the last couple of years where you say that Michigan should be good, fans should root for Michigan to win every game until the big game. But one. I think for the first time, if you polled Buckeye Nation, they would say, no way.
No, they
don't want them to win another game.
I was
don't
rooting
think
for Maryland last week.
Yes,
honestly,
I think every Buckeye fan was.
Yeah.
Buckeye fans were putting on their Penn State jerseys when Michigan played them. That idea of we're rooting for them so we get that top 3 matchup, that's gone.
Yeah, and in fact, they've caught the nation's imagination with this. They're not really America's team right now. They're America's most wanted team.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they are right now. And then they're having a hard time. I'm talking about their fans, et cetera, having a hard time dealing with that. But it is what it is. This will play itself out.
Ohio State is so hated nationwide as a brand. They have made Ohio State. They've made them the darling in this game. Yeah. They have now made.
Amazing.
They
That's
have
true.
now,
Wow.
America is actually pulling for Ohio State, and America hates the Buckeyes. They hate the fan base. They hate the team. Ohio versus everybody. This week it's actually everybody against Michigan. I sincerely believe the nation wants Ohio State to win.
You should put that on a shirt.
Maybe I will. Copyright.
I heard your buddy, even your buddy Paul Feinbaum is behind Ohio State.
Right?
Yeah, I had him on my podcast this week, the Tim May Show.
The Tim May Show podcast.
Yeah, but we were talking about it. I mean, it's just it's amazing what everybody else sees that's going on right now and what they see. I'm talking about across the border. It's really amazing.
All right, guys, great stuff. Keep it on 10 TV, 97.1 The Fan for all your Buckeye football needs.